morning we are blessed to be in this session. Today is our Men of Valor Men's Ministry, National Men's Ministry Planning and Review meeting. Of course, we are going to have a presentation before we do our planning today. And we're blessed to have Reverend Dr. Carla Dunbar in our midst. Before she comes, we're just going to look at the scripture, Psalms 8. It says, and you might know this by heart, "What is man that thou art mindful of him, and the Son of Man that thou visitest him, or take care of him? But thou hast made him a little lower than angels, and have given him dominion over the works of your hands." So this morning our session is focused on men, and we want to understand who we are, and maybe that's why God has given us a woman and somebody who is specialized in this area. Dr. Carla Dunbar, she's coming. She is CEO of Carla Dunbar Ministries and Counseling Care. She also serves, she's a specialist in the area of marriage and family counseling. She's also a motivational speaker, and she has many accolades to her name. And so this morning I just want to invite her. Put your hands together for her, men of God.
Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be here amongst all the men. And of course, I'm very happy to be here also with my colleague, Dr. Words. My daughter is with me and my sister as we are heading to the funeral service for my brother in Christiana, Manchester. But because you are so special, I diverted to be here with you this morning. Now, I love men. Right? I love men. I have one husband who has a toothache, so he's at the dentist doing an extraction. 2 sons-in-law, 4 grandsons, I think it gone 5. 5 grandsons, yes. And so the truth is, I love men, and I love men who will determine what good men and godly men, right, will be despite society and friends, despite what they will say, right? And also love men who will be courageous enough to choose right even if it's not popular. So you guys are at the head of leading men. Now, the most simple definition I have found of a man is an adult male Homo sapien. Right? Now, the Random House Dictionary has 20 other definitions. When they look at it and you wonder, why? Because a man is just a man, right? Why that means so much something? Yeah? But I have 20 other definitions of what the word actually could mean or how it could be used. But none of these individually or collectively, truly, when I look at them, define real men. I have man and man, men and men, right? So I'm not going to pretend to be able to give you a full and like a final, complete definition of a man myself, since, as you can see, I'm not really a man, right? But I've had one man for 40 years, so I think trying to figure him out. Yeah. He was a boy who became a man. So he was a boy when I was a girl, and he became a man as I became a woman. And I love him very much and proud to call him my own. Now, there's what I consider to be a cultural confusion in our society as you deal with the men. One of the challenges that the church itself has always had is how to treat with the men that they have won. Because we do win men, we just don't keep them. And that is a challenge, right? So there's a cultural confusion, right? And I'm very disturbed by that when I look at what is occurring in our society today. And I find that there are many adult male Homo sapiens, right? But tragically, relatively very few real men. And I love to read. I've studied history. Yesterday, there's a rave now about Buju. Buju come out and and all of that. And I was invited to his house to speak with him yesterday. I was privileged to, yes, to have a talk with him. So I was having a talk with him yesterday about, the whole thing that has passed and everything, because he has to reintegrate into society, and he's going to face a very big crowd on the 16th of March at his concert, where I'll be. So no make sure no say I'll be there. I already tell the bishop, right? Yes, I already tell the bishop because I'm asked to open with prayer, right? We see, we have to minister in different spaces, you understand? And that is ministry because when you're going to a man who is saying Hail Selassie and they ask you to come and talk to him, you know, prior to his public, because he had a press launch the other day and he never made an appearance because he's not yet ready to make a public appearance. So I was asked to go to his house, to his studio yesterday and to talk with him. And I'm thinking, we have to minister where we get the opportunity to minister. Yeah? Well, so that's what happened. And the cultural confusion is that you have few men in our society, in the current generation, you know, that are really acting up to the plate, stepping up to the plate, and the prospect for real men in the next generation, based on what is happening now, is even less. You understand? Given the current growth in the prison system, the inmates that are out there, and the street corner assessment, you know, the street corner assessment, right? So I personally believe that part of the reason for this is the current confusion of what men is supposed to be. I don't think our men truly understand what they are supposed to be. As Dr. Words will tell you, Jamaica still contains many features of the plantation society. Men are stud and women are breeders. So we still have some confusion as to the role of men coming out of the plantation society, the slavery society. You know, if you really have to do a really in-depth look at men and what it's all about to make a presentation and to be able to hold the men together, you have to understand what was happening back then and why we live in a society that we're living in now, where men are seemingly confused, and because they have been dancing to so many tunes, they don't even know which one is the right one. You know, what is it that makes up a man? You know, and some think it's strength and physique and how much iron you pump and the biceps and the triceps, which at a certain age are kicking and all of those things. And those are the things that they think makes up a real man, but I don't think that is what it is. Yeah? So I'm saying that you don't have to stand 6 feet tall, have a six-pack, or a body that is hard like a rock, even though it is desirable, right? To be a real man. That's a kind of stereotype, right? Strength and physique are all a part of the macho male, which is okay, but strength doesn't make you strong. So that's the first thing. Strength doesn't make you strong. So we have to understand that, right? It doesn't make you man. Just like wealth don't make you rich, strength don't make you strong. So we have to understand it. And God doesn't see men as hammer and nails or suit and tie and whatever. What we want are good men, men who are responsible, compassionate, family-oriented, leaders, great lovers. We want men like that, right? And so I'm going to be very brief and very quick to be able to share with you what I look at, because time is marginal and indispensable to the process of what is that is. So I want to look at what men want. What are the needs of men that are most important? Because contrary to popular opinion, men only always want sex. And I'm going to leave my goodly colleague to tell you a little more about that, right? But the truth is only between the ages of 18 to 24 are men really desperate for sex. Men want sex, but they're not really desperate. Once men quench their thirst, yeah, I mean, once you quench your thirst, then you move on to think of bigger things and greater things of life. Yeah? When you're more mature, you think of different things apart from sex. Sex not coming out of your head, you know. You understand? Each one of you need to buy a copy of Sexscription. Tell them, Pastor, that they need to buy a copy of my book, Sexscription. Right? It's not all about sex, but it helps you to look at how you think as well. Right? So we know that your self-esteem sometimes is linked to your libido, but I don't think that's all that there is. You have a brain too. Right? So, yeah. Now, if I had a thing there, I was trying to prepare a PowerPoint presentation where I wanted to look at the Maslow original hierarchy of needs, the 5-stage model that Maslow has, right? He states that people are motivated to achieve certain needs, and that some of these needs take precedence over other needs. And he speaks to our basic needs, which is for physical survival. And this will be the first thing that motivates our behavior, right? And the theory is that once that level is fulfilled, then the next level up is what motivates us, and so on and so forth. And he continues, right? So he talks about the physiological needs, That's the needs for the biological requirement for human survival, the air, the food, the drink, the shelter, the clothing, whatever. So what he says is that these are not satisfied, the human body cannot function optimally, right? And so he considered the physiological needs most important above all, right? Then you have the safety needs, which is the protection and all of that. And then you have the love and belongingness needs and all of that. And then there's the esteem needs and the self-actualization needs, right? Which speaks to the personal potential for self-fulfillment and personal growth and a desire to become everything that you're capable to become. Now, a scripture was read by Brother Brown that speaks to the man, and I want to talk about that and some of the emotional needs of men, because based on what scripture says, in Genesis 1 and 2, I started out this year teaching my church based on Genesis 1 and 2, right? I know that based on the creation account, the instructions given in Genesis 1 and 2, men have other important needs. Men are driven by who they are, which is their purpose, because men are told to live and dominate, subdue and rule. So men have those needs based on the Genesis 1-2 account. So you are driven by who you are as a person, as a man, your purpose, right? And what you do, that is what defines you in terms of probably your occupation or whatever job it is that you take on. And then the compensation, how much you earn. A lot of the time we don't understand how important money is to a man or achieving certain things in life so that you can do the basic things. I talk real man now, you know. I talk the men them way not think about none. And I believe that basically inside of every man is a desire to self-actualize and be fulfilled. No matter you see them out there, and it's because they don't really have a sense of purpose and nobody not really dead there and they don't have no model to look on. So it will seem like they're worthless. But I don't think that it is what it is based on what I see God said that men are. Yeah, and that's why I take a keen interest in men, because I see the good in every man. I see the good in every man. I believe that men with the right direction and guidance can change and do better, because I believe that innately all men want to do better. All men want to do better. So we don't want to write them off. And that is why developmental psychologists will tell you that when men reach a certain age and they have not achieved or attained everything that they had initially thought about in their mind, then there's a sense of unfulfillment in them. Yeah? Them kind of don't feel fulfilled, and then because this now affects their ego. Freud says that men are created with not just an ego but a super ego, come like a double whop of pride that you get, that we really don't get. You understand? We get female intuition, which is still for you because it's female. But you so we get it, but that's still your own, because we get the finer instincts that sees the small pictures that makes up the bigger picture. Wow. Right? That's really what it is. Amen. Our finer instincts. It sees the smaller picture. You see the big picture. Yes. You see the end goal. You see the Range Rover. Amen. We see all the steps that are being taken to reach the Range Rover. Amen. So we see the Nissan and the Toyota and everything where you drive before you reach the Range Rover. You understand? So that's what our finer instincts tells us, and which is why there's such a good, nice balance between you being the head and we being the neck. Because head can't turn it out neck. You understand? So it's a good balance between you being the head and we being the neck. So it's important. So when you have this sense of, when men reach a certain age and they don't have this sense of fulfillment, as in accomplishing everything that they wanted, it affects your ego, which affects your performance, which ends up with men who are now regressing behind females, which is what we see happening now. Even in church, men are hiding behind female leaders, which I don't mind being a pastor, you know, but I like a man. You understand? So even though every man is different, and that everybody could make a different list, I just sat down and there are just about six or seven things I thought about. Now, at the very basic, I think men want to be understood. If you're going to pastor men and lead men, you have to understand man. The church has yet to understand man. So we want our men to come into church. They are not cultured and brought up in that environment. We want to win the modern day men. I want them to come into church and do the same thing that women do. Lift up holy hands and praise the Lord. Cry when we sing falling in love with Jesus. You know, tears are running down and everything. And get all emotional. Now, men are built with emotions. But not to the extent that women are run on emotion. You understand? Like, let me say America run on Dunkins and women run on emotion. Yeah, men run on more logic. Men need to be understood. Men have a need to be understood by people, by the people they are with, by their spouses, by, you know, the church. Men have a need to be understood, right? When I pastored Buff Bay Church, there was a time in Buff Bay Church when I had more men in my congregation than women. When I took over Buff Bay Church, I had 3 men, 2 over 65. Those were 2 old bishops. Well, 3 over 65. An old bishop and the associate pastor. And 2 men over 45. I already not really remember, but they're coming. So a composite of 5 men. And I said, no, this is not balance at all. Yeah? So I started to pray for men to come into the church because God manufacture man, you know. So they're not really short. And if you look at the statistic never said that we had more women born than men. We have equal amount of men and women born because God not fool. You understand? So it's just that is where the men are. Why they seem to be in short supply, but they are not. It's not that less men are born or less women are born. Equal amount of men and women are born. God balanced the thing good. Right? So I started to pray, and I remember one time I come out here to the first one convention. And they were talking about, you know, the Sunday evening seed faith offering thing. I have $1,500. And I decided I'm going to sow that $1,500. I said, God, I want 100 men. 100 men. And everywhere I went and preached and spoke, men were drawn and they came forward. And none of them come above the church. And I said, God, what happened to the man when I asked if I'm saying never tell me what I send them? So I said, anything left out of the 100, just send them come above me. Yeah. I said, anything left out of the 100, send them to above me. And my first baptism was 3 males. And my second baptism was 12 persons, 9 males. And so that happened until Buff Bay Church recorded more men than women. Woo! At one point. So no, thanks. So now I have to start to look for male, for females now. But balance up about the thing. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm saying, and wherever I go to minister, men, because you have to understand men and how men need to be ministered too. So when men come into church, men want to do things. Not just to be, but to do. So you have to give them something to do. Because if there's nothing for them to do, then they don't feel necessary. And so they're going to leave eventually. You understand? So men want to be understood. I really believe that men want to be understood. They want us to know who they are. They are men. Yes, and want us to understand how they think. Yes, and work along with that. So that is good that you can have this little powwow now that you're going to sit down and talk about what to do in your own areas where you are, because some of you are in agricultural place and some of you are in more corporate spaces, and so the mindset of the man may be slightly different in terms of how their goals are to be realized and what they need. What is it that they need to achieve? But at the very basic, men want to be understood, right? They want us to understand that they are prone to failure, but they are not failures. They are prone to failing, but they are not failures, right? And so they want us to understand that they are not worthless. They don't always succeed, right? Because that stage is set from long time. So they don't always succeed the way others do, right? But they are men. They want to be understood. Another thing that men want is encouragement or admiration. We can flip the 2 words. They want encouragement. When men like to be encouraged. You know, like when me and Dr. Reg used to wear ear, because we now wear ear again. Anything we wear now, bar and so. You got ear to say you spend the whole day as a woman. And you come back and probably the man spread the bed, but the sheet lean. And you see the lean sheet, but you don't see the bed spread. So you should see the bed spread and then admire. But be able to spread the bed. you know, and then they feel admired for what they do or encouraged. Men like to be encouraged. Yeah? It's an emotional need of a man that they want to be encouraged. Yeah? Because contrary to the popular opinion, behind the big man is a fragile ego, you know. And a lot of our men in our society, and you guys need to know that, are very insecure. They are insecure because they are marginalized. Academically, they are marginalized. In the church, they are marginalized. In workplaces, they are becoming marginalized. So there's a sense in which there's some amount of insecurity that exists in our men. So the ego are sometimes, yes, so behind all of the swag where you see and the brave thing that men display on the outside, there's oftentimes within a man low confidence sometimes. And you'll see it if you know how to read the body language of men. Because they're not going to say it. Which man are going to come up and talk about them? He say, man, them like, hear the word insecure. You ask the counseling psychologist. They're going to come back to your officer and tell him, say, insecure? You must say, man, no, I'm not insecure. Which, you know, I always say, if you're right, you don't need a defense, and if you're wrong, you don't have one, so just leave it alone, right? But that is really what it is. Men really need encouragement and admiration. So that is why they need things to do in the church. At my church, I have a fix-it night. Tell you man, them carry the old blender, them mash up on the old iron, them and there's something. Yeah, some of the man them good don't even know if to fix it, but they like the challenge of being able to figure out what we can't figure out. So I have a fix-it night at church where the man them for us gather and just figure out how to fix them something that was brought down. You know, because we don't, men have a need to be needed, you know. Men have a need, Brother Brown, to be needed. It's important. Thank you, sister. And that's something I draw in my clothes. This way, them put in my pocket. Men have a need to be needed. Yeah, they have a need to be needed, right? And which is why when men are looking for women, they're looking for a woman who will make them feel safe enough to share their insecurities. Not one who's going to blab it all over the place and tell them again, yeah? So we need to understand that men have a need to be needed. They want to be encouraged in the areas. My husband, farmer fool himself all the time. You know, he's always planting something, but since he's not a farmer, I say he farms a fool himself. So he always wants somewhere to plant something. So he plant like a callaloo and look at something, man. The truth is for me, I'm really not busy with the callaloo bed. You understand? If you cut the callaloo and cut it up and bring it in the house, cut it up and bring it inside, my good. If you pick the tomato and carry it inside, my good. Outside of that, I'm not busy with the farm. You hear something? But my husband likes for me to come outside and look and say, babes, but your tomato them big door. Yeah? Yeah. And them callaloo, you don't need no fertilizer. You understand? Yes! You understand? So they want that. You understand what I'm saying? My husband raised these little fish thing. The little fish them. I mean, I don't know one fish from the other, you know. I don't even like fish. I don't even eat fish. I have a feel for fish, for eat fish. I don't even like fish, you understand? But, you understand, when one of the fish them a baby, and the mom come out there now, and they say, you see them? I don't see nothing. You can't see fish, baby. You know, look at something them like mosquito fly up and down in the water. I don't see them. But he wants me to, by faith, I forgot to say that. But he wants me to come out there and say, babe, what a heap of fish. You know? But I want the cute, sir. But the whole of them look the same to me, I tell you the truth. Yes? So your men want encouragement. Give them things to do, and when they do it, encourage them. Yeah, give them things to do around the church, man. Make them figure out the box and the, I don't know, whatever you find, whatever them find to do. Just give them something to do it, you know, so that they feel that they are necessary. Because if they don't feel necessary, then they are not needed. You understand? So I tell some of my older colleagues, them, you know, when them advancing in them career, them can't find a man at this point. Because them have them house, them carry them poodle. You know, and them carry them. So why we can't find a man? Because the man not necessary. You have your house, you carry 2 cows, and you carry, you have your PhD. Where you find a man from? We are going to meet up your expectation. You understand? You should have look him along the way. So that, you know, matriculate together and something, right? But yeah, they want that, right? They want encouragement, and people naturally gravitate to the place where, you know, they receive admiration. So we have to understand that, right? They need that kind of affirmation. The man them want moral support. Some man have a venture, You know, yeah, like the man up at my church now, we have some property up there, so, you know, them I say, boy, them I go do some farming and things like that, you know, and quick time, you know, woman them shoot it down because woman always know what is right. You know, them shut it down and, you know, the man them talk, but little after that, the man them voice talk get lower and lower and lower and lower until you not hear them again, and then you curse now, you know. And so you not hear them. But them in attack. But nobody not listen to them. So them just take time and get silent. Men want moral support. Like I said earlier, most men have dreams and aspirations. Every man have a goal in their mind where they want to do something. Yeah, they might can't talk it out like how we can talk it out because we are linguistic. Very, very linguistic. Probably too linguistic. Yeah? Understand? We need to understand that men want moral support. If we women are with a, what you call like a type A man, we can be sure that this is at the top of his list. Yeah, he has all of these goals and them something there. It doesn't mean that, you know, we should take over them thing and all of that, but they want moral support. They want to be supported in their ventures. You know, whatever it is that they set out to do as a thing that they see as being important. So when you get the men in the men ministry, have discussion and find out instead of just trying to tell them what's supposed to happen because you know the status quo of the church and you know the church from your idea, your knee, and that's how you see it. Ask them because them coming in with different perspectives and ideas and ways to how them see this thing can, you know, maximize and roll over and be big. Because remember, so them see the big picture, you know. They might not see the small one, but they see the big one. So they do need that kind of support, yeah, in the ventures. From their women, they'll need more moral support, but they need the kind of support, yeah, in the ministry to make them thrive and be the best that they can be, whatever it is, yeah. I mean, you want help with your ideas, certainly, yeah, because you have ideas, but you want the kind of support, yeah. Men want friends. You know, I used to do this thing called Domino Crusade. When I was in Portland, I started it out as a man evangelism venture. Men attract men, you know. Yes. Men attract men. So when man see 4 man play domino, boy them just come and stand up and bill and them a watch the game. So if you have 2 domino table and more man that come and 3 domino tables, so that's what I did. I started a domino crusade where I had the men. So you know, I go to fire station, go get a group from around there, so, and on the street corner, I get a next group around there, so, and you go in at the church, and some of the churches them never have no domino, no men to play domino. So I say put 2 men with 2 women, and after that you go also the 2 women because you don't really want them. No, we don't really want them in there. You understand? A man something. And this was yielding a lot of fruit. It yielded a lot of fruit. I brought it to Cavaliers and I went up there as well. And we started out having this domino crusade. And the day of the tournament, we do a tournament, you know. And the day of the tournament, you know, you have all of these teams coming into play. And trust me, the amount of man, you wonder which had so much man come from. You never know that so many men are in the community until you're doing something that engages them. Then they'll come. So men do want friendship. They want friendship in their partner. According to William Harley Julia, they need a recreational companion, right? But they do want friendship. They want other men. When my husband just got saved in Brother Brown in Buff Bay Church, there was no man in his age group. Couldn't my husband come to church now? No man in his age group there, you know. So him kind of know if them either younger than him, enough or older than him. Then I moved. Then when I took over the Orange Bay Church, it was Brother Bart. There was 1 man in his age group. I find that him come church, but him still kind of aloof and him come and him still down a back and say, you see, since him come at Cavaliers, and him find more men in his age group. He's so involved. Him in the kitchen, him down in the farm, in the field. You understand? Men want men. Men are attracted by men, and men want friendship from other men. They like to know some more men in them space. You understand? So when I start manhunt, so now I'm doing manhunt. You know, I teach a church of look man. So, Amen. So I'm doing manhunt now. Every November, I do something called manhunt where you go out now and go look for the man them. And I tell the sister them, say, if you come at church, admission for come at church is a man. So if you're not here, no come on. If you want to sit down up front, VIP a 3 man. Amen. So you have, Amen. Yeah. So I do manhunt now at church. And the first time I did manhunt, I never know so much man up a Cavaliers. Me said the church full of man, so till me have to tell the sisters them to stand up. No seat no there. The first Sunday night of manhunt, I brought in an ex-convict. You know, I brought 4 ex-convicts in for that month. Wow. Yeah, who got saved in prison. Wow. And these were murderers. These were men who, one of them chop off a man head at 37-year him do, and at the Queen of England free him. You had one next one where grew up right down a Maple Clarendon Dessa, and is a man kill him father and him grew up lacking so many things because his father never run and him decides that him going to kill him. As him reach 18, him kill him. But he's now a pastor of a Seventh-day Adventist church. So I brought in different men who were evangelists and pastors, but they were ex-convict and them spent a considerable amount of time in prison. I brought one that was not a murderer, but he was a thief. Him take all them teeth and cut off your ring off your finger. Him spent about 19 years in a prison as well. He's now a pastor over in Portmore. Wow. So when they came in and shared their life experiences and taught the real something, the man them dead. And the man I said, yeah, you know, can identify, say, yeah, with certain things and so forth. And I said, man, yeah. And this, some men want friends. Men want a person with them can identify with. You understand? In the thing, they want that. They want a nice balance, you know, but they want that. Yeah? Women, we want different things. You understand? But men, and yeah, men just want that. You understand what I know? They want friendship. They really want friendship. And we have to understand that they want to have that, and if we create that environment for them to have that, then them can good. Yeah? Men also want respect. More than anything else, not this a man. Man want respect. Man not like to feel this, not load up the man thing. Yeah? When I'm talking to my women in church will hear more verbal assent and in my scolding or my reprimanding of them, I take my man them one side and talk to them all individually. You take them one side. Well, I've been living with a man for 40 years. You understand really how you're supposed to deal with a man, right? So yeah, I take them one side and deal with them, because the truth is, the word respect, you know, and submission in terms of certain things, but submission more have to deal with them and them wife and husband, and so we're really talking about that today. But they really want to be respected for who they are and what they do. And so I have learned to respect men of every walk of life. If the garbage man will come pick up the garbage on the road, respect Joe. If there's a janitor, respect Joe. It doesn't matter what you do, because you really are not a hammer and a suit and a nail and a briefcase and all of these things. So we have to understand that men want respect. Yeah? And the more of a leader a man is seen to be, because that's what man, God made man to be figures of authority, you know. You can't get away from that. Men, and that's why when women come to me, I tell them, treat your husband like your boss, and you're good. Just treat them like your boss and you're good. The same way you talk to your boss, you talk to them, because you know you can get fired from your job. You understand? But there are many ways that you can get fired here, so you just and you figure it out yet. Right? But respect is important. We have men in our churches, respect them. And so when us women are preaching our feminized gospel, because the gospel is so feminized now that sometimes men really cannot identify with it. It's very feminine. And we have to understand. So when I have crusade, whenever I have crusade, so my crusade starts tomorrow. So we have 1 month. When I have crusade, I sing out 2 nights. That is man night. Yes? Also a parishment director. Man night, they worship and praise different. We don't use certain songs. You understand? Because we want the man to be able to identify them, can identify with certain things. The whole mode of the service is different. We all dress different when a man night. When a man night, we gears different. You understand? And the theme different. And the whole tone of the service is set in a way that is to attract men. So it's not necessarily a masculine setting, but it's a setting that a man can come in and identify with the Jesus that you are presenting. So you talk about the Jesus we're going to roast to fish on a seaside with them brethren. That never did in the Bible, but that never did must go on, because if I fish them in the eat. 2 roast fish must go on, with some okra stuff it and so. Yeah, it's not in the Bible, but you must can figure out that Jesus must did roast 2 fish with them brethren them down there so. And so when time him did the other wedding they down at a place there, say him that dance really and truly and you understand? You understand? So you present the kind of Jesus that they can identify with instead of the weepy waily Jesus that we present some of the times. I mean, he's compassionate and everything, and nothing is wrong with that. I want compassionate men. But I'm just saying, they want respect. So we have to give them that respect in order for them to thrive and maximize upon what God has given them and realize the best of themselves. Amen. Yeah? So your men really want that. They may want to listen, right? Because, they just want us to know what is it that they're about, and we can get there, right? Now, they do need a sense of sexual connection, but besides, like I said, I wasn't talking about in terms of the relationship kind of basis, yeah? But they do need that kind of connection, and we can get there another time. I don't want to go there. We'll buy my book. Probably should leave somewhere there, you guys, in the motor door. Right? But they want that, right? So they need that kind of connection as well. It's a need for them. So I mean, I rule it out and say to them, say, boy, I don't need that. But I mean to say, you don't go to church, go tell them that. Unless you're not bring in a speaker, we're going to help them to understand what the connection there so. Yeah, it's supposed to be, right? But they need that. Men need security. You know, we always say that a woman needs security, but men need security. Men and women are both attracted, to certain things in a relationship. But security for men go deeper than just the fact that, you need whatever the needs are. Men need security, and that's why money is so important to man. Money important to we too, but don't love money like woman. You understand? So it's important for us for another reason, for security purposes. For men, it's a different thing. That's why men attain. I tell women, men don't commit easily, but when they commit, they do commit. But don't expect a man to commit when he not see the big picture how things are going to start out. Because he wants to know how it's going to start out. That's why you tell them to come to church, them say, them are coming about. Them soon come back, them must start out some things first. The same thing they will say to a woman who wants them to marry. Yeah, man, we're going to marry, but we're going to start out some things first. Nobody run go call in the wedding planner when him said that. But my husband they give me a little joke one time, and I just share that joke before I leave. And my husband they give me a little joke one time, and he say this man, was dating this black girl, a China man was dating this black girl, and she sweet him. So him tell her, I say, I'm gonna marry to her, I'm never give her a date though. And she call the whole her family from down a country and come up and pack up in them space. You understand? And all of a sudden things start go sour. She not sweet him no more. She did sweet him. And him tell her, say, him I got married to her, I'm just never give her no date. You understand? And she just pack up in him space and everything, and everybody come up and wait for the wedding date, which could be 10 years from now. Because you never get no date really. You understand? So they need to feel secured in whatever it is, and so that's why they work hard. The women work hard. Men like to work and achieve what it is that they set out to achieve. My husband is a workaholic, and men will work to the detriment of their families, because they are innately created to be providers. So innately it is in them that they have the need to provide, and so they are going to go out there to provide. Yeah, I octane. Me know not listen to a good Christian, but I sound listen to my brother Brown ears sound listen. So I octane and me one listen because I take a sociological approach to pastor. I octane is a gospel artist out there, and he. He's a secular artist. And him sing this song, now spend a time when my girl give me bun. You don't hear me sound enough to go on like you don't know the song. And see Brother Brown over here, so. Anyway, the gist of the song, because people misunderstand the gist of the song, right? The song is really talking about the fact that she says she wants an air condition, because the place hot, him go work hard to buy it. Them used to have ice now and igloo, and them go buy ice, and now going to fill up the igloo, and she want a fridge. So I'm going to work even extra harder to buy the fridge. And something else, I don't remember what else it was, and she wants something, but him go work and him go buy it. But then he wasn't at home as often as he ought to be, because he became a workaholic. That is really what the song is saying. People just read into the song differently. They don't get the gist of the song. And then I speak to these artists sometimes because, I want to know what I go on. So yeah, me talk to Octane and talk about the song. I tell him, I like the song and things like that. So, what is really the intent of the song? I like to know what you're saying. So I talk to him. So I understand what the song was really about. And when I watch the video, I see it. So I know that men want security and they like when their families are provided for, and that, that you can be spoken about in the gates like the Proverbs 31 woman talk about the man, but that the men one was talking about in the streets because of how he was and how he was perceived. So men do want that, right? You want to be secure in the knowledge of whatever it is that you are doing and that it is being done well. And finally, space. It did it for some man. There's an author that I read, I think her name was Deborah Tannen, or Tannen, I don't know how she pronounced her name. And she wrote a brilliant book on the masculine and feminine divide between independence and intimacy. Yeah? Of course, masculine being the primary thing she was writing about. And she wrote about it, but I didn't have to read that to know that happens. In my own relationship, I have come to understand. I take time to study men. Dr. Barry Davidson, my elder, at him. We were at a seminar, international seminar once, a training seminar for counselors and therapists. And he got up in the midst of the audience and he said, Carla has the highest clientele of male. And I'm like, I got shocked to myself because I didn't even understand where I get that from, because I never had done assessment. Well, he was also bigging me up as Jamaica's sex therapist, but he said that. I really take the time to study male, so when male come into my office, they like to stay. When I tell them that the time is up, they will take out all them gun and recipe on my table and lean back and recline themselves in my chair. And when I tell them, say them 45 minutes done, them say, already, doc? And I say, yes, the financial clock is ticking if you want to stay another 45 minutes. You understand? But they I think because I take the time to study them and to know how they think and stuff like that and what pleases them and stuff. So they'll shy away from counseling at first, but as soon as I start talk, they realize that this is not status quo counseling, or therapy or whatever it is that you perceive counseling to be. But they do need space. My husband has taught me that. I know that men are tunnel visioned. Women have wide spatial range. So you see me in this room, I have to look and see the whole around. I stand up right to see all around in my room, even Brother Brown over there. So. But come and see me out of the corner of my eye. A man would have to turn him head over here so to see you. I don't need to do that. Women are created with wide spatial range, so we can see very wide. Men are very tunnel vision, and we see that in your driving. But we're looking to where we're going, so that we can, you understand? Right, sometimes I drive my husband, I see where shot him can go over in the other lane already, but he don't see it yet. But I have to keep quiet because he might drive. You understand? So I don't see it. Yeah? But men need that, you need space to recalibrate yourselves. So when men need a little build time and they come in and sometimes they want a little quiet moment, they want to just load them, make them build and thing like that, Somebody came up with the idea of the man cave kind of something. That's why I like the idea when our parish director started the man them away. But him start a little sweetness to him. And never sweetness, him start encouraging the men them by taking the women them along with them now. But good, Brother Melon. Right? But yeah, he had, taken them away and it was good. Because see, men pull away to feel autonomous, Feel like them in control. You pull away to feel autonomous. When we as women pull away, it's because we feel negative emotions, right? So we have to give men time to be who they are, and they may not shoot up like we and all of that, but your men know what they want. They might take a little time to get to it. It's not that you're slower than us, it's just that you're more logical and analytical. Yeah, you're more logical and analytical in your output, and so you'll take that time to be able to put that together. But you need that kind of wind down at the end of the day kind of thing. It's something that I often have to tell women. So when man come in from work, not start barrage them with the whole person, something you have to tell them. Give them one glass of water, because them inside hot. and make them bill. Or if you have a special punch or whatever it is that you mix up for them, just give them that time. Right? So they need that. So those are some of the things that, and this is not an exhaustive list of wants and needs, but I think it should help you to have a better understanding of the men that you will lead when you go back to your different localities, to understand that all men may be the same in one sense, but they're different. So it depends on what is happening in your space that your men, your churches are located, or, you know, that you understand who the men are and that you deal with them accordingly, because as I've said, every man is different and we could come up with a whole heap of different things. However, these are some of the most common things. You could call them emotional needs. They are not all of them, right? But if we are wise, and the Bible says, he that wins soul must be wise. If we are wise, we'll take the time to be able to identify with our men so that we can better able to lead them and to allow them to be men in a very, it's said to be a man's world, but it's a very feminine space sometimes because of what is happening, especially in our culture. Yes? But just allow the man them to be men. In our churches, let them be men. Some of you have been in church because your grandmother used to carry you, you sleep on bench when fasting are gone. So you are already acclimatized to the culture of church. Some of your men are not. Them just are coming. If you're really doing your work, them suppose them just are coming off a road. And some of them have some idea of Sunday school and all of that. But some of them are coming because the men that are out there now, the grandmothers are very, very little much younger than them. So them not grow up on a church bench. We not fasting and prayer meeting service and some of that. Okay? So we have to understand the dynamics that are there, that exist in the men that you are leading, and how not to only win them, but keep them. Because that is why the church is male deficient. We win them, but we don't keep them. And that is important. The first crusade I have in Cavaliers, Manting, 35 men we win in one crusade. 35 men in one crusade. Yeah? But we had a challenge. We had one challenge in that the men in my church at that time they weren't trained accordingly to deal with it. So it was myself and a few of the women who always have to be calling the men them in the morning, and I say, you know, I motivate them and so forth and so on. And so you find them start drifting. And, you know, the thing wasn't there for them to do so much. And so I find that we had to revamp, restructure, and come again and put the measures in place now that when they come in, yeah, the things are there for them to do, and when it's recreational time, it's recreational time. So it's domino, it's dartboard, it's some gym thing and stuff like that. And when we have man something, a cartwheel dumpling and the rice and peas and chicken and vegetable, you get that every Sunday. The something, we talk to the men them. Yeah? So my prayer for you guys, gentlemen, is that you go back to your locality, that you'll sift through, weed through. Look at your men them and look at them differently. Look at them through a different lens. Look at them through the lens that God sees them instead of the lens that society sees them. Because society has a warped view of that. But God has the right view of the man that He created and placed in the Garden of Eden and say, rule and subdue and have dominion. Because man a man. A man must not be otherwise. Bless you. Running. Going to settle.